Yo, welcome everyone, Sanjae Uchiha here and welcome back to the channel. And of course, as you can tell by the thumbnail and video title, today we're talking about Boruto manga chapter 54. Of course, shout out to everyone that joined me for my live reaction stream to the chapter last night, because this video should be going up in the morning, so yeah. But again, shout out to everybody that joined me last night. I wasn't able to do this reaction stream as the chapter dropped, as I have been doing over the course of the last 3 months, but you know, even though it wasn't as big a turnout, I still enjoyed it. So shout out to everybody that joined me: Paradox, William, Fibs, I think Tibri, you joined the Discord as well, but you didn't say anything. I don't know why, but anyway, just shout out to everybody. The stream should be on the channel, available for you to watch if you're still interested. But here we go, my concise thoughts on Boruto manga chapter 54. And as per usual, before we get into it, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on my thoughts and on the chapter as well. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers by the end of 2021, so I'd appreciate the support and just join this fun community where we talk about all sorts of madness. So without further ado, let's get into it. So chapter 54, titled Bro, which is a very fun title, chapter title if you ask me. These translations, ever since Boruto said, you know, Konoha Shinobi are legit, these translations have been killing me. But for the most part, chapter 54 serves as another means of progressing the story as the conflict against Momoshiki actually escalates. Now, this chapter in its entirety, for me, it was a pretty solid chapter. Easily 8 out of 10 if you ask me. Even if you might disagree, you can always leave your thoughts on why in the comment section below. Of course, we start this chapter right where we left off, where we had Momoshiki making Sasuke the master of the Rinnegan. But for the most part, this chapter did kinda, you know, alleviate the Sasuke bashing. But let's start. So we have Momoshiki coming in, and we get confirmation that he specifically took out Sasuke's Rinnegan just to avoid them, so that they didn't have a means of escape, which is a very strategic move on Momoshiki's part. A lot of persons I know were just like, you know, it's an eye for an eye kind of deal, but that's not the case. There's a tactical reason why Momoshiki wanted to actually go ahead and take out Sasuke's Rinnegan, which I liked because, of course, it is tied into, you know, the frustration Momoshiki has had, you know, combating Sasuke like up until now, whether it be space-time ninjutsu or just keep switching places. There is obviously some context to the frustration that Momoshiki might have, and the reason why he would want to take out Sasuke's Rinnegan so they can't escape. More so towards the can't escape side, but it is what it is. But going forward, we have Kawaki heading into this chapter trying to take on Boruto. It's more so a Kawaki, Borushiki, and Sasuke chapter, as I was predicting and expecting. We didn't get much from Naruto in this chapter. So as we go along and we have Kawaki trying to get Boruto to wake up, we get the major revelation from Momoshiki that even though Isshiki has been stamped out of reality, his consciousness no longer exists within Kawaki, the Otsutsufication, the DNA that was extracted into Kawaki and by extension Boruto's body as well, since they're both at 80%, which is another revelation that Kawaki is also at 80% of his Otsutsufication. We find out that the DNA doesn't disappear, so the vessels essentially become part Otsutsuki. But at this point, Boruto and Kawaki are mostly Otsutsuki at this point, which basically raises a lot of other questions, but at the same time it gives rise to the foundation for a lot of potential for these characters from a combat and power standpoint, which I also love as well, if I'm being quite honest. So of course we have Sasuke coming in and teaming up with Kawaki, which is a refreshing dynamic. It's not a combination that we've seen before when it comes down to the Boruto manga, so it adds to that refreshing and interesting aspect of the chapter, just to see how these two characters would actually work together. Now, that aside, what I loved about this chapter as well, and Paradox Elite said it in the stream, it might be because, you know, Sasuke is taking on somebody more on his level, but even if that is the case, and it really is, honestly, It was refreshing to finally see Sasuke approach the battle from, you know, a tactical standpoint, how you would expect Sasuke to approach the battle, because honestly, we know one of the major problems when it comes on to the Boruto manga, due to its nature of just rushing, I wouldn't want to say rushing, but for lack of a better term, or rushing through the main points of the narrative, the choreography and battles, to me, they suffer, and Sasuke has been the butt of our jokes for the longest while when it comes on to this. Now, to see him kind of approach the fight from a tactical standpoint, which is one thing I was kind of hoping for from my expectations, I was really glad to see that. Just finding out or seeing Sasuke deduce that, you know, make note of the fact that Momoshiki isn't using his karma to absorb any jutsu, anything. Sasuke using that observation, testing it, and deducing how the dynamic between Boruto and Momoshiki works in terms of control for Boruto's body, which is another thing I was expecting to get this chapter, and I'm glad we got it to see, at least kind of get the idea of how it works in terms of Momoshiki coming out, Boruto having control, Momoshiki having control. And based on Sasuke's observations, we find out that it's due to the fact that when Boruto essentially runs out of chakra, Momoshiki is able to take control. So it's safe to deduce that, or assume that, Boruto's chakra essentially keeps or suppresses it suppresses Momoshiki's chakra essentially, and this prevents it from taking over. So as long as Boruto isn't low or out of chakra, Momoshiki can't take him over, at least at this level, at 80% Otsutsufication. Who knows, maybe more rules will be layered on as it rises in terms of the extraction percentage. So there's that. So I was really happy to see Sasuke, even though I don't think this redeems how he's been treated in the manga like 100%. It was refreshing to see him actually, you know, pulling his weight, especially since Naruto wasn't available for much in this chapter. It was good to see Sasuke carrying and taking the reins of, you know, just carrying this onslaught, this battle against Momoshiki. He's carrying the team essentially. But what I also loved about this chapter is Kawaki. Like from last chapter till now, I think it really continues painting or, you know, revealing more layers to Kawaki's character, and potentially link up to things in the flash forward, essentially the time skip. Now, as Kawaki tries to actually, you know, get Boruto to wake up, we find out that Momoshiki is essentially taking over Isshiki's plan, because why not? So essentially what Isshiki was going to do to Boruto, he's now going to do to Kawaki. Due to the fact that Kawaki is 80% Otsutsuki, Momoshiki says he can use him for feeding, can essentially use him to with the 10 tails to, you know, make it sprout into a divine tree. So that kind of raises back the stakes and the I guess switch around the issue that we need to fix from Boruto to Kawaki right now. So that's the interesting part. Now, of course, we kind of get narrowed down to a section where we have Sasuke essentially telling Kawaki the plan, because essentially since we need to replenish Boruto's chakra, we need to force Momoshiki into a situation where he can absorb chakra or absorb ninjutsu using the karma. So even though we have Sasuke trying his best via, like, you know, stuff like lightning release via his sword, Chidori, Amaterasu, which was good to see, he doesn't succeed. But at the same time, I fact that even Momoshiki gives credit to Sasuke, the fact that even though he's wounded, he can't take this lightly. He'll come out with injuries if he doesn't go about this the right way. And it was funny seeing the vanishing Sasuke get hit by the vanishing Rasengan, not gonna lie, because when I heard like Momoshiki saying like, yo, I'm gonna bring out that, I'm like, what am I gonna bring out? You know what I mean? So that was fun. But honestly, it was fun to see Kawaki and Sasuke work together, even when Sasuke was telling him the plan, and, you know, Kawaki was saying, you know, it's a leap in judgment, and, you know, what's the evidence? It's like two logical characters kind of working together. So it was fun to see. But all in all, it kind of fails, and we come to a situation where Momoshiki is about to teleport Kawaki. But What I love about this chapter, because I kind of went off slightly off the Kawaki train right there, is that this chapter helps to solidify that Kawaki will go to the extremes to actually protect the persons he cares about. And I'm wondering if that's going to tie into, you know, what a lot of persons I feel have been saying as of like the middle of last year until now, that Kawaki might not be evil in the flash forward. And it's something I've said and discussed in my own Kawaki video last year, when I essentially analyzed the flash forward in terms of the dialogue between Boruto and Kawaki. So it kind of makes me feel, again, I've said before, Kawaki might just be making that tough decisions, which might be morally opposed to what Boruto might want to do in terms of handling whatever conflict they're, you know, facing in the flash forward. So I think this chapter helps to paint Kawaki's character as someone who'll go to the extreme. He was literally using fire style jutsu to burn himself just to make sure that Momoshiki could not get to him, and I like it. It really paints a very interesting picture about Kawaki's character, which I'm sure will, you know, be able to reference these moments in future Kawaki discussions. So I like that. You know, give Sasuke his moment to partially redeem himself, but at least showcase him in the way that Sasuke should be showcased when it comes down to fighting. Even if Momoshiki is more so on his level than Isshiki, fine, whatever. But at the same time, we get some nice character moments with Kawaki, because we see in the chapter, throughout the chapter, most of the action panels and Kawaki interacting with Borushiki is layered by a lot of flashbacks to a lot of the key moments between Kawaki and Boruto up to this point, from, you know, fixing the Viz, you know, his attitude towards fixing the Viz, towards, you know, joining together, deciding that they'll get rid of Karma and Kara and Isshiki, to, you know, calling him bro, Boruto, you know, saying that, yo, you're part of the family now, you know, all these things. I think it just continues to build and set the foundation for Kawaki going into the time skip, and I like it because, again, it's just part of what I expected from this chapter for the most part. So there's that. But we eventually get to the point where, you know, Momoshiki essentially absorbs and prevents Kawaki from burning himself alive. And that gives Boruto enough chakra to essentially wake up and, you know, put Momoshiki back to bed, essentially by ripping off the horn. And we end with Boruto and Kawaki essentially falling to the ground and saying, yo, apologize to each other. With Sasuke finally being able to get some rest, but the chapter essentially ends with Sasuke looking at Naruto and, yo, saying, shit, this isn't good, essentially. So that's where he ends the chapter. And for the most part, the chapter ends like one step before, like, because I was kind of predicting that we'd end up back in Konoha by the end of the chapter, but, you know, we're one step away from that. So for the most part, the chapter kind of more or less went how I expected it to go, and it was a good chapter, if you ask me. I just love I just love like the little tidbits here and there between, you know, Kawaki and Boruto, Kawaki's character moments, which might link up to, you know, building the foundation for the decisions his character is going to make in the time skip. Sasuke getting partially redeemed, him being written how I know Sasuke should be written. He's a tactical fighter, you see me? Little things like observation. And I know there's only so much he could have done against Isshiki, but after the trashing that Sasuke's been getting between anime and manga for the longest while, it was refreshing to see him being elevated back to how he was portrayed in this chapter. Even if it's a case, it's only because Momoshiki is more so on his level. And yes, it is a testament to how strong Sasuke is, given that he's wounded. So yeah. But again, Momoshiki himself is nerfed in this chapter as well. He's only at 80%. And it's still kind of ambiguous how strong, it's still kind of ambiguous how strong Momoshiki is when he's in control of Boruto's body. Even though if you're taking the whole Karma level 2 thing, he should be almost as strong as his actual, you know, before he died, quote unquote. So there is that. But all in all, I love how this chapter, you know, set things up going into the next chapter. We have Naruto, who didn't really play a big role in the chapter. He only had a few lines, and Of course, Kishi leaves us on a on a cliffhanger in terms of, you know, what's going to happen to Naruto. And for the most part, given what we know of the time skip so far, the little that we know, the showcase of Kawaki's character and the bond between, you know, Kawaki and Boruto, I think, and we say it every chapter, we're closer and closer to the time skip. We're getting so close because the foundation for the conflicts that are to come in the time skip, we're seeing them now. Kawaki's extreme, like his the way he takes extreme actions to get what he wants, start to protect who he loves. I mean, the bond between Boruto and Kawaki, and the fact that that's going to eventually split. The fact that Naruto is being set up to, you know, something is wrong with him. Obviously, either chakra poisoning, either he's dying, Kurama's dead, maybe he's going to be slowly dying. It's something I've said on this channel before. So, more than likely, given how Kawaki's been portrayed, maybe Kawaki eventually takes some drastic actions and in opposition to how Boruto feels it should be handled. Maybe, who knows. Another idea is maybe he's, as Paradox Elite in the stream gave me the idea, he was saying that, yo, maybe Kawaki might take up getting the chakra fruit for himself to eventually cure Naruto or whatever's going to happen to Naruto. So there's a lot of possibilities going into chapter 55 and beyond, but for the most part, I thought this chapter was solid. From Sasuke to Kawaki to, you know, establishing the dynamic in terms of how Boruto is going to, you know, operate with, you know, Momoshiki, setting the stage for, you know, things to come, kind of keeping us in suspense for what's going to happen with Naruto. There's a lot of potential conflict and, you know, backlash coming out of this, you know, conflict with Isshiki and Momoshiki that's to come more than likely. So for the most part, I'm looking forward to seeing how this chapter is going. The fallout of this chapter is going to go in chapter 55 because it's a lot to discuss and we'll just have to discuss this in the videos to come. So let me know what you thought. Thanks for tuning in if you made it this far. I think this might be my longest review in a while, but I thought the chapter was really good. It was really good, honestly. But yeah, thanks for tuning in if you made it this far. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Share this video out. And I'll see you in the 1,000,001 Boruto discussions that we have lined up for the channel in the coming days and weeks. Sanjae Uchiha, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next Boruto video. That's